Alright, this video is all about the basics on airbrush as well as a review for a new airbrush company that I've tried. This right here is the one I usually use, the Iwata and Temptu. Now here is the Belletto Studio one that I will be showing you in this video as well as reviewing this specific airbrush company. Now there are two things I always recommend that you do before airbrushing. That is your eyeshadow as well as your concealer underneath the eyes. You want to make sure you do your eyeshadow first because if any eyeshadow falls onto the airbrush that you have put on already and you have to wipe it away to correct it, it will look horrible. And you guys will actually see an example of that later on. So do your eyeshadow first, and then I always tell people to do the concealer after because when you do your concealer before your airbrush, it really cuts back on time, and also you do not want to get the airbrush extremely close to your eyes to cover underneath. So I'm using a waterproof concealer from Makeup Forever called Full Cover underneath my eyes. And now I'll be showing you how to do the airbrush. So this is a traditional airbrush system that you drip your foundation into the gun. So I'm going to go ahead and drip the Belletto Studio foundation into the gun here. And we're going to apply it to the face. So first, whenever you turn on your machine, only air is going to come out. It is not until you actually hold and pull back the trigger on the gun that the color will come out. The air is what controls how much coverage you get. So another thing, you want to apply it farther away than closer away. That's what it will look like if you apply it too close. You want to get used to holding your airbrush gun farther away from your face. It will blend a lot better. So when you apply it, you want to apply it in circular motions on the face. I'm going to show you how the airbrush looks on one side only, and then on the other side we'll have nothing. Okay, so I'm applying it right now, and I noticed with this foundation it looks very wet and dewy, and that's because this is a water-based foundation. The foundation that I use for airbrush usually is silicone-based, so it's a little bit different. The great thing about a water-based foundation like this one, it's great for no matter what skin type you are. It's very healthy for the skin. It does take longer to dry, I will say that. And I noticed that you have to use more foundation. So at first I put 6 drops of foundation, but I noticed that I did need more. Also a tip when you're applying your airbrush, you want to make sure that if you get closer to your eyes, you hold the gun downward so you're not spraying into your eyes as you see me doing like so. So I went ahead and did a full coverage on that side. So I want you guys to be able to hear the sounds of this motor. This one actually is pretty quiet compared to the Iwata that I showed you guys earlier. So this is highest sound. This is medium air pressure, lowest air pressure. Lowest air pressure is for eyeshadows and blushes. High, it can be for foundations if you want a higher coverage. Medium for foundation if you want a medium coverage. So the air that comes out of here is what controls how much coverage you get. Alright, so here is the up close of the airbrush side. And then here is the up close of the non-airbrush side. So we're going to be applying the foundation again, and it's great to actually have a big old zit so you can see how it covers blemishes. So again, hold it as farther away as possible. Farther away the better. And it covered the blemish pretty well. The great thing about airbrush is you never see where it starts or finishes when it comes to the blending. So when you cover blemishes, tattoos, anything, it looks impeccable. It looks so natural because you do not see anything that's not blended right, and it covers. And it's really good actually if you have acneic skin because you're not touching your skin with brushes that may have bacteria in it, things like that. So the great thing about airbrush, it is pretty healthy for the skin. So I'm just applying it everywhere, and once you get used to using airbrush, it also is really fast. It stays on all day, and it looks amazing in pictures as well as in everyday life. So just finish applying and you control how much coverage you want. Now normally when I do airbrush complexion, I wait till it dries and then I apply regular contour powder and blush. I do not use airbrush contouring. So I decided, let's try it out. This is the Belletto bronzer. It's called Shimmery Bronze. So I'm going to use this to contour the face. Now, I noticed that it's getting really drippy and it doesn't look good at all. So I believe this is actually because I did not shake the bottle first. So this is a lesson learned, guys. Whatever you do, you want to shake your foundations first. This even goes for when I use the other brand of airbrush that I use. You have to shake the bottle first. So that was my fault. Anywho, I'm going to put a little bit of that bronzer color in there again. And you want to put the air pressure on low because you want less is more. And you actually want to hold your hand farther away, that way it blends out better. So I actually made the mistake of holding a little too close, and it looks too harsh, that's the word. So if ever you have that problem, it's super easy to fix. Put your foundation color back in your airbrush and go on top of the bronzer. You can layer colors to give a natural effect. So that's what I'm doing to correct the actual too much bronzer. So now we're going to try some blush after the bronzer. So I went ahead and fixed the other side, and now I'm going to shake. Remember, shake your bottle. And I'm going to be putting this pink blush from Belletto into my gun, like so. And when you do blush using airbrush, you want to make sure that you do it in a circular motion on the apple of your cheek. And smiling does help when applying it. And controls, and oh no, this color is not for me. It's a little bit too much of a baby pink. It's way too light. So I would not recommend this color unless you are very a lot lighter. But yeah, this looks kind of crazy. Anywho, so no to the blush. So now, because I do not like this blush, I am using the airbrush cleaner, putting it in the gun, and I'm going to be spraying out that blush color. So if ever you want to clean your gun, going from one color to the next, or when you're done, you go ahead and you put cleaner in and you spray it on a paper towel until it goes from color to clear. Now go ahead and take a look at my face as well. You'll notice that you will see where I took off the airbrush. And mind my coughing, that stuff almost choked me. This is non-hazardous, by the way. It's just that if you do breathe it in a lot, you might cough a little bit. Anyhow, so I'm going to reapply the foundation in order to attempt to correct anything. So you can see the lines of where the airbrush went. And unfortunately, you won't be able to fix it. You have to start all over again. So remember my advice. This is why I say do not do your eyeshadow after your airbrush. If you try to wipe it away, it's all bad. And also be careful when applying contour and blush, because if you don't like it, this is what's going to happen. So I'm going to be trying now an eyeshadow slash eyeliner from Belletto Studio. Mind you, I have never used airbrush eyeshadow before. I prefer traditional eyeshadow, but let's give this a try anyway. I'm putting a couple drops of this dark one, and we're going to go ahead and put it on the low air control. That way you have more control, and that's the color there. It's kind of like a shimmery black. So let's try this out. You want to get a little bit closer to your eye, that way you have more control. And you're just going to do circular motions in the direction that you want to go. Now, mind you, I will say that this blends very nicely and gives you an instantaneous smoky eye. But you may have to clean up a little bit afterwards. But it blends really well because it is airbrush, which is pretty cool. But doing airbrush eyeshadow takes a lot of practice. And now I'm going to do the other side. This one, I'm going to try to have more control with this, and we'll see how this turns out here. And I actually love how that side came out. So with really good control, you could do either look of smoky eyes. And that's the airbrush eyeshadow. So guess what, guys? Here's a coupon code to the Belletto Studio Products. So again, I recommend the actual machine and gun, and it's for a great price, travel friendly, super small and quiet. However, the formulations for the foundations and complexion products, maybe not so much. So I will be giving you guys the link to many of some products that I do love for Airbrush. And also, don't you worry, if you guys have any questions about Airbrush, I will love to answer questions. I've been doing Airbrush for a couple years now, and I love it. And I do recommend Airbrush in general, especially if you have skin problems. It's really hyperallergenic. It's really actually good for your skin. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'm just showing you my stalker dog. She cracks me up. So I will see you guys later.